what is your definition of a man? What is your definition of a man? So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to ask just a couple of questions here, and we'll kind of go, each individual person. Why don't we start with the young man on the end here, Mr. The leader. That's what I like to call you, yeah, Mr. Lawrence. What's your definition of a man?
To start off, I would just say thank you for allowing me to be here on this panel. I'm very honored. To me, a definition of a man is someone who can take up leadership and apply what they have and store it within them and apply it to others the best way possible. For instance, starting up social programs and having, developing resources and creating social projects to better the community that they are trying to, better. That's really what I think is what a man is, to be honest.
Okay, I heard the word leader. That's what I heard. That's one word. So we're gonna, as they talk, again, the question to you is, what is your definition of a man? So what he just said, I grabbed the word leader. What word did you gather? Mr. Dunn, Coach Dunn, how about you?
Well, hello? It's working? Okay, I'm sorry. Good morning, everyone, and thank you for having me here this morning as well. The definition of a man in today's world, I would believe, is a very, very interesting question. I believe that the definition of a man is something that's an individual opinion, but for me, I definitely believe that the definition of a man today, in today's society, is, number one, I would agree, leadership, but leadership of themselves. Leading yourself, because first you lead yourself and then others follow. Also, definition of a man, too, is someone who is looking to lead his family as well, and be an example if he happens to be a father, to be an example to his children, but also to other young people around him. And so I would definitely say the definition of a man is in your behavior.
Thank you. Now, lead yourself, which kind of connects with what was stated earlier from our former panel members. I heard the word discipline. Okay, so lead yourself, discipline.
Good morning, can everyone hear me? Yeah. All right. First and foremost, I would like to thank the Rise Up committee for inviting me to be on this panel. I also would like to say that our young men in this audience look very well, so I want to give them a round of applause. What's the saying? You guys understood the assignment? So I definitely want to give you all some kudos. But just to piggyback on my panelists, when I think about the definition of a man, I was fortunate to have my father, and then I also was fortunate to have other caring adult mentors, whether they served in the capacity of the Boys and Girls Club, which is an organization that I was heavily involved in, whether they served as a deacon at the church, which I was heavily involved in. I think of someone that is passionate, committed. Of course, we know a leader, but get things done and take care of whether it's their family or the people that they directly affect. But I think of a male, a man that is just committed and handle their business. And a lot of it, I can keep going on and on with different adjectives. But one of the things I want you all to resonate with is that a lot of these adjectives that we are using to describe what a male is, these are the same adjectives that you all are doing now. So when you all become older, you all are going to continue those adjectives, being a leader, providing for your family when you grow up to be a man, whether it's in school, whether it's at home, when you all go to college. Those are the adjectives and attributes that require that. So I just want to leave you with that part.
So, this is it. Manhood starts just right where you're at right now. You're young men. Discipline, leadership. Some of you may be in a single family, a single parent home. The father may not be there. You may be given the responsibility now to take care of mom, to take care of brothers and sisters. This is the opportunity. If you aren't doing it, this is the opportunity, based upon what these gentlemen just said, to rise up. To rise up and take that leadership role. To help mom do what she needs to have done. Okay? To take up that leadership role and be disciplined. And some of the things that maybe you would like to do or you're doing, you just aren't there yet. But you're disciplined. I want to say this. Your future is not out there. Hear what I'm saying here? Your future is not out there. Your future is inside you. You're the creator of your future. The panelists earlier talked about a butterfly. And I want to share this about the butterfly. Everything that's needed to become a butterfly is in that egg. So your future is inside you. Your future's inside you. But gentlemen, if you were to roll back time and based upon your experience in coming into manhood, what one thing you wish you knew then that you know now that would have helped you develop even more as a man? Either one of you, whichever.
Everything.
For example,
I'll jump in.
Okay.
The reason I say that is because the question was, what would I have wished for then that I know now? Everything. I mean, let's face it, I'm 62 years old now, and most of you guys are probably in your teen years, and so I've learned an awful lot between then and now. So the answer absolutely is everything. And I will also say too that one of the challenges that exists for you guys right now is what you don't know. Is what you don't know. Contrary to what you might believe right now, you might believe that you know enough right now to make it in manhood. But again, it's what you don't know that you will need to know. And so that's how I would answer that question, and also the question of what would youth need most, or young males in your age group, and that's information.
Right, like to second off of what he said, from a student point of view, I can't say that I have much experience within it, but from the 4 years that I've, after reflecting on my 4 years, because I'm a senior, I realized that there's so many opportunities that I missed out just because I never asked a question. So to answer this question, it would be my lack of not asking questions within the school, my guidance counselors, my mentor staff at school, my teachers. Missing out on those opportunities that could have bettered my future was because I didn't ask questions. Since I asked questions, I missed out on those opportunities. And I also, from what our mentor and NTR sponsor, he always told us that there's always going to be an answer in the book. So he said there's always information in the book, and what young men know, what young kids don't realize is that since the information is in the book, they're not going to get the information within it because they don't read as much, which is why we which is why we not enforce, but we recommend reading a lot more, just because a lot of information is in books. Everything is documented down in handwriting. It's not like it's something we can listen to. So to answer that question. I was saying to ask the question.
Just to piggyback on my panelists, from everything to always asking questions, I'll admit, I had mentors, I had people that were in my life, whether through different organizations, that told me, gave me the information, and I did the opposite. And even from my parents, they would tell me, give me different life lessons. And as being a kid, you didn't, I would always say, oh, they don't understand. They don't know what I'm talking about. But God, it doesn't change. The situations, whether it's your mentor, your site director, they have all experienced it. So they're there to help and guide you so you don't make the same mistake or the choice. And I admit, I didn't listen, and that's something that we do. But it's the learning experience from that mistake that you grow, and hopefully you share that with the up and coming as you get older. But it's just, some things I listened, some things I did not listen on. But it's all a part of the growth. So that's pretty much it.
Thank you. You're young men right now, teenagers. How many of you want to be wise? Okay, I should see every hand raised. Well, today, guys, can be the beginning of you having wisdom. You don't have to wait until you get our age to have wisdom. To be wise, what these gentlemen have shared with you, good tidbits of information and nuggets that will make you wise. Don't be afraid to ask questions. No question is a dumb question. So be inquisitive. And being inquisitive, looking into a book, reading a book. So if what they just shared with you right here, you begin to incorporate that as part of your daily routine of your life, you are going to be a wise young man that grows up and become a wise old man. So, everyone raised their hand and said they wanted to be wise, right? So all you have to do, and you don't have to know everything, and yes, we were at your age and where you are today, we were where you are. And we thought our parents didn't know anything. And sometimes the best advice maybe came from our parents, but it was reinforced by someone else, and then we decided to listen. So today, you've got these guys on this panel here that are sharing with you these nuggets of wisdom. So here's the question I want to ask you. What challenges did you have arriving, or did you? I'm going to make that assumption. What challenges did you face, or did you have growing up? Did you have a male role model? Did you not have a real male role model? And how did that impact your decisions to be who you are today?
Okay. Challenges. Let's see here. Growing up, I've always had positive male role models, whether that be my high school teachers, elementary school teachers, community members, local politicians. I've always had somebody to look up to, whether they knew that they were my role model or not, whether it was an athlete, favorite football player. When we look at role models and mentors, we look at the qualities and the things that we aspire to be that they are already exhibiting, whether it's in their profession or in their community. And those are some of the nuggets that I take away. Whether I wanted to be a football player, watching, I tell even, someone is always watching you, okay? Even as a student, you know, you have younger siblings, you have people in the community, you have students, someone is always watching you and someone is always looking up to you. So you want to make sure that you're always setting the best example and being a leader. The time that, you know, role models, mentors spent with me was very valuable growing up. From coaches, I always had some type of male influence growing up, and you know, you just have to find that one person or individuals and just continue to monitor them and observe them and try to mirror yourself just like them. You know, we all like LeBron James, but there's characteristics about him, whether it's his work ethic, how he gives back in the community, whether even if it's how he dressed, things that you like about the individual, and those characteristics is what you use, and that, you know, that's what I did growing up. You know, I never forget. I wanted crazy. It's not crazy, but I wanted to be a bus driver. You know, because you know I would ride the bus and go to school, and my bus driver, he was a male, and he was very caring, and you know he laughed and he joked with us, but it was just something during that time period that you know that I gravitated towards because of the influence that he had. Wanted to be a police officer, you know, I wanted to be a football player and all that stuff. But it's the little nuggets of the characteristics that I use. Challenges. Just being a male, you know, statistics are already stacked against you, whether it's in school or any different professions or going to college, you know, just beating the odds and the statistics of the daily being a male, and more specifically black or brown male, were the challenges. Whether I knew the challenges or not, but as you get older, you kind of identify some of those challenges. But that's it.
Thank you. Coach.
The challenges that I grew up with were the challenges that any young male would grow up with, living in a single-parent home with no male role model, with 4 older siblings. I grew up in New York. I grew up in the projects of New York City, so I grew up in low-income projects with a very loving and strong mother. God rest her soul. The support and the love that I got at home was no match to the challenges that I faced. Challenges can only defeat you, in my opinion, if you aren't equipped to handle them. And I believe that love and support, a supportive foundation at home, will help you through those challenges. Let's face it, I had challenges. We all are going to face challenges. And definitely, like Mr. Burgess said too, growing up in a time where in our society, all young black and brown males are going to experience their share of challenges. But again, I say that it's where they come from is going to help them with those challenges. My belief is that what all young males your age need is a supportive environment, a support at home. If not at home, then through agencies that are here that are looking to support you guys. And so when you talk about the challenges, they were the normal challenges. But I'll tell you this though, with that supportive environment and that love at home, when the challenges came, I was a grinder. I was never one to get caught up in my feelings. I was never one to be slowed down by my emotions. And so I was always a grinder. I was always one that had that mentality that I was going to get up the next day and I was going to go out there and I was going to do what I wanted to get done. And so I never really looked at the challenges as an obstacle, but they were there. I notice them more now when I'm older. Now that I'm older, I notice more of the challenges that I faced when I was your age than when I was actually your age. Because again, you don't know what you don't know. And so challenges, yeah, they're there, but I will say this. There's a way to prepare for them, and there's a way to handle them and keep moving. And that's where your support system will help you.
As your perspective, since we're around the same age range, I would say growing up, I did have like a parent, two parents, my father figure. I had a father figure. I would say my challenges within that would not be listening to everything that he would say. Cause like, you know, he was raised without dad, and reflecting on like how he raised me, I can't necessarily grade, there's no way I can grade him upon it, because he did his best. He did his best to be supportive, he did his best to teach me what I need to be, to teach me everything I need to have to be a man. And within that, I'm grateful, but those moments where I would say our challenges, like as teenagers, would be listening to what our parents have to say. Like certain things that we just wouldn't agree on, or maybe we had a different view on, would basically be what I would say was difficult with having to listen to it. Cause like, you know, he was my number one, he's my number one mentor. With that said, there has been moments where he was right, and then when I disagreed with him, I was in the wrong. And having to go through that was basically living off of experience. It helps, going through challenges helps develop experience. That way you can avoid them later in the future. And you can also teach others to avoid them in the future. So facing those challenges the best way possible and reflecting upon that, that's how you can overcome those challenges. And if you don't have like a father figure like me, or like you don't have someone in your innate family to turn to, given that we are in school, there are a bunch of teachers. There are a bunch of mentors, guidance counselors, resources there that helps us to get over those challenges. Like, even though there's a problem that I would have and I don't feel 100% comfortable telling my father, like my father or mother, I know I can tell a teacher that and they'll help me get through it. That's the benefit to being my age and all that stuff, that there's a bunch of adults with a bunch of experience who has faced those challenges and they can help us get through that.
And look, Mr. Lawrence, you brought up a very good point. You know, as young male students, no one should face a challenge alone. Support systems, Coach Darn said, if you don't have it at home, you definitely have it in the school system. You know, these schools have 100 staff. There is a trusting, caring adult that is in that building that you can turn to, whether it's your teacher, your site coordinator, or your principal. No student, I don't care what the challenge is, whether it's schoolwork, mental health, bullying, or any challenge, you do not have to face it alone. We have support systems in our schools that are there to help you face that together. So I just want to make sure that you understand that and that you know that.
I'd like to add something too. Before we leave that subject of support, mentoring, it's very important that you guys accept support. There's a lot of support offered to guys your age, but trust me, in a room like this, we can offer mentoring to all of these boys. You probably get a third, maybe a quarter of them that actually realize the value of it and actually follow through. Accept support help, guys. Accept mentoring, and then you'll get the benefits from it.
Awesome. Awesome. You can't do it alone. You've got a support system in your schools. These gentlemen here, if you think you can do it alone, we've been there. You just can't. Even as adults now, we can't do it alone. We need each other. So you latch onto that truth, to that nugget, and get the support and reach out to someone. We're going to open it up right now for questions, and I have a gentleman in the back.